Welcome to a meeting of your Planning Commission, the official local planning agency for the cities of Tampa, Temple Terrace, Plant City, and unincorporated Hillsborough County. The Planning Commission provides innovative leadership and long-range vision that contributes to the creation of a thriving, prosperous community that offers opportunity, fairness, and choice in how we live, move, learn, work, and play. For more information about the Planning Commission, please call 813-272-5940. Follow us on social media or visit our website at planhillsborough.org.
Good afternoon and welcome to the April 10th, 2023 regular meeting of the Hillsborough County City-County Planning Commission. We thank you for attending this meeting. Your comments and participation are encouraged. For those attending the meeting in person and wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign the register at the rear of the room and turn off any devices that may be a distraction. To minimize feedback in the audio, all online participants in the meeting will be muted until it is their opportunity to speak. Planning commissioners should unmute themselves to indicate that they would like to speak. Please be sure to state your name at the beginning of your remarks for the benefit of the clerk. There will be an opportunity for members of the public to provide comments. When your name is called, you will be unmuted when it is your turn to speak. Please wait until the chair calls on you to begin speaking. State your name at the beginning of your comments and adhere to the time limits. If anyone has difficulties or is watching via HTV and would like to provide comments to be included in the record for local government hearing, please email them to planner@plancom.org. That's PLANNER@plancom.org. For action items, the meeting will be conducted as follows. The agenda item will be introduced. Staff will give their presentation with a 15-minute time limit. The applicant will be given the opportunity to make a presentation with a 15-minute time limit. Following presentations, members of the public may address the Planning Commission when recognized by the chair. Public comment will be heard for 3 minutes per person. The applicant will be afforded a 3-minute period for rebuttal or response. Planning commissioners will ask questions. Public comment will be closed. Then upon a motion, a second, and discussion, a vote will be taken. With that introduction, I'll ask Commissioner Rodriguez to lead us in the prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Would all please rise?
Heavenly Father, we come before you today with praise for your mighty power and guidance. We thank you for this day and thank you too for the many blessings in our lives, for our great country and for the opportunity to live in freedom. We ask your blessings on our leaders, and we ask that you give each one of us here today the wisdom to make the right choices so that our decisions will be in the best interest of the people of Hillsborough County. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. All right, with that, I'd like to ask the clerk to go ahead and call roll, please.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Bernstein?
Here.
Bowden?
Here.
Buzza?
Here.
Cardenas?
Here.
Fernandez?
Here.
Handy?
Here.
Kress?
Here.
Lauk? Commissioner Lauk? Soria? Commissioner Soria? Wharton?
Here.
Rodriguez?
Here.
Joseph?
Here.
Thank you. You have quorum.
Thank you. All right. Our first item up, or second item up, is public input. No one signed up for public input for this meeting, so we'll move to the third item. 3A, the Tampa Heights Overlay District has been continued to August, so we will move on to our next agenda item. 3B, City of Tampa Future Land Use Assessment Implementation Phase, and the presenters are Melissa Dickens and Danny Collins. Mike.
Thank you. I'll try that again. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Melissa Dickens, Planning Commission staff. I'm joined by Danny Collins as co-project manager of this study. This item is the City of Tampa Future Land Use Assessment, the implementation phase. This is an action item for you all this afternoon. We will be asking for your approval of a contract. Some background on the first phase of the future land use assessment. You all received a report back in February that shared some of the recommendations. Actually, it was about a year ago today, in April of 2022, we came before you to select Pritchett Steinbeck Group. That firm was selected through the Planning Commission's RFP process. And they have concluded a very robust evaluation of our future land use section. As you all are aware, the future land use section within the Tampa Comprehensive Plan is extremely complex. There are a number of different facets to it. It's very detailed. And in the first phase of the project, our consultant was focused on evaluating data, analysis, some very significant community and stakeholder engagement. They, Purchase Steinbeck Group, were also working to get continual feedback from elected officials, from appointed officials such as you all through a workshop. Their team has also been busy coordinating with city departments. So any of the departments that may be affected or impacted by the recommendations, making sure to continually meet with them, touch base with them, and then overall producing overarching recommendations for the future land use section modifications. I mentioned the overview that you all received in February. We're in the final stages of getting a written report from the consultant, and that should be provided to you all in the next couple of weeks. And so for what we're looking at for phase 2, there are a couple of different components. This slide is going to be focused on the policy provision refinement. As we really got into the recommendations and spent a lot of time with the Tampa Future Land Use section, we recognized that there was a need to refine some additional provisions and make sure that we were looking very carefully at the implications of the recommendations. So this would involve prioritization of the recommendations along working with staff, creating a mapping so that staff and the public, our elected and appointed officials, could see transparently where the recommended bonuses would apply across the city. We were also asked by the City of Tampa City Council to produce some case studies or visual examples of how the different recommendations would play out in different areas of the city, different types of bonuses. So that is scoped as part of phase 2. We also will be looking at the growth strategy relative to the bonus approach, and if there are any tweaks or shifts that need to be made to that. And then the last two are kind of similar. The last two parts of this phase are aligning how the recommended bonuses work with the other plan content, and then an audit, or a soft audit, of how the recommendations interface with other provisions in the plan. And because of the complexity, because of how everything is very tied together, we thought this additional level of analysis and review was warranted. And these are kind of a high-level summary of what is in the scope. Of course, you all have the full scope in front of you, but I wanted to call these out specifically. The second phase would also focus on continued engagement with the community and engagement with our stakeholders. This has been really fundamental to helping to move this process forward, and we want to make sure that we're continuing to meet with the neighborhoods, with community groups, with the development community as we work on the details of these recommendations. So reviewing it's kind of the next level down of the details with the community, with stakeholders, also providing additional opportunities for you all to provide input in our Tampa City Council. We also want to continue working with the city to ensure that any projects that would implement the recommendations or are happening kind of concurrently that are related to the recommendations are all tied together. So reviewing how that would occur in the LDC and other city documents. And then finally, overall, we would like to arrive at significant review and refinement of the language so that it is in place for a text amendment to update our future land use section. And we did want to touch base on staff's recommendation and details of this recommendation. We do want to be transparent that a project of this size and this scope is typically handled through the Planning Commission's RFP process. This project, because it is the second phase of an existing project, is a little unique. And for a number of different reasons, for fiscal reasons, project management reasons, and relationships with external stakeholders and our client governments, our staff is recommending that we retain the same consultant for continuity. So staff is recommending PSG be retained for the phase 2 portion of this project. First, as I mentioned, the complexity. This team has a strong expertise in the subjects within the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, the future land use section, and familiarity with the section and all of the different components. They've also done a tremendous job establishing relationships with the community, with external stakeholders, and really have brought together diverse and often or sometimes competing perspectives and been able to do a really nice job of facilitating those discussions and arriving at recommendations that benefit the community at large. And staff also recommends this for their successful work on phase 1 of the project. There's additional information about where you can see the preliminary recommendations for anyone from the public who may be watching. It is available at planhillsborough.org/City of Tampa Future Land Use Assessment down at the bottom under the other documents. The previous materials are all there, and we'll be uploading the final recommendations in the report when that's available. You can also access it through our central website for the plan update, livegrowthrive2045.com. And contact info for both myself and Danny is also up on the screen for the public if anyone has any questions. And your staff recommends that the Planning Commission authorize our Executive Director to sign the City of Tampa Future Land Use Assessment, the Phase 2 Implementation Consultant Contract with Pritchett Steinbeck Group. I'm available if there are any questions, and Danny is as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We didn't have anyone sign up on the public comment for this item, so I will turn it over to the commissioners. Yes, Commissioner Buzza.
Just one quick question, please. Everything looks fine. Was there any kind of, I don't want to say comparison shopping, but $148,000, was it looked against other consulting firms to see that fee was reasonable?
I mean, the fee that aligned as part of the first RFP process, that is pretty typical in terms of, you know, the consultants recommending similar things. But for this specifically, we did not do a deep dive into what other firms may charge. I can tell you anecdotally that we're seeing very large contracts for other planning projects that are happening with the city and with the county, even larger than this number. So.
I did have a question. I understand the foregoing the RFP, the idea of the continuity and using the same consultant, but I did want to be sure that we're legally okay in doing that. The RFP is a process that's put in place for a reason, so I'm just, you know, want to make sure that we're all right.
Well, I did take a look at the agency's policies before going down this route, and the policies do not specify necessarily an RFP process. They specify a list of considerations that need to be taken into account, and I believe that staff has done that in their review of the proposed contract.
Okay. All right. That's all for me. I guess I have one more question. We haven't heard from the City of Tampa, and obviously this is a City of Tampa study, so I'm kind of wondering, were they happy with the consultant the first time? I realize our staff is kind of recommending them, but I want to be sure we're not pushing this on the City of Tampa, so I'd like to hear from them if anyone's here to speak on their behalf.
Sure, I can ask Frank Hall from the city to come up. I can also answer that, but I'll let him take the lead on that.
Good afternoon. Frank Hall, City of Tampa. We have been following very closely with this whole entire process. We've been involved from the very beginning, and we are completely in line with what's going on at this point.
All right, thank you. All right, that's all for me. Are there any more questions or discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this time. I'll go on ahead and close the public comment and open it up to motions from the commissioners on this item. Commissioner Buzza.
I'll go ahead and move that we approve the contract.
It's a motion of approval or authorization to sign from Commissioner Buzza. Commissioner Bernstein?
Second.
All right, a second to that motion from Commissioner Bernstein. Are there any more comments or questions from the commissioners on this item? Not seeing any, I will ask the clerk to go ahead and do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Buzza,
Yes.
Cardenas,
Yes.
Fernandez,
Yes.
Handy,
Yes.
Kress,
Yes.
Joseph.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 8-0.
All right, thank you. All right, on to our next agenda item. We are done with action items, so we will go to our briefings and presentations. And the first one is 4A, the 2023 Regional Competitiveness Report. And the presenter is Lucia Farriss. My apologies for if I butchered your name.
Good afternoon. This is Yasser Gonzalez, Planning Commission staff. I will be introducing Dr. Farriss to this commission. This is the sixth version of this report, the competitiveness report. This item came to you back in 2020. And there was some questions as to follow-up and different things, and you guys were very engaged with the person that presented at that time. Okay, this is not. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. Ooh. Sorry, we're getting. Oh, there we go. Let me see. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. So, if you've been keeping tab, the planning, the Tampa Bay Planning partnership has made two great hires recently, which is Bimita Simmons, which is executive director, and also Dr. Lucia Farriss, which will be our speaker today. Per usual, the staff already made a beeline to make sure that we have introduced ourselves to them and also offer our resources as part of the, help them succeed. And we are very excited to collaborate with them going forward. Dr. Farriss grew up in Tampa Bay, but her projects have taken them far and wide. She's been to Michigan and done some research and teaching there for economics. She did some work with the manufacturing sector, some changing energy sources for the manufacturing sector. There's a lot of energies that go into the sector. And she's come back here and taken this Herculean task. As you will see, these are gargantuan data sets that they need to, Dr. Farriss and her team need to slide through and prepare, which is, being analytical myself, actionable insights. That's the toughest part. Slicing data sets is okay, but presenting something that people can act on and people be engaged in is difficult. So again, without further ado, I would like to present Dr. Farriss. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yasser. I appreciate that wonderful introduction. Thank you for having me this afternoon, commissioners. As Yasser mentioned, we produce the Regional Competitiveness Report, the Tampa Bay Partnership, every single year, and we compare Tampa Bay across 19 peer and aspirational communities. So we're looking at anywhere from, let's say, a Seattle all the way down to, we're looking at Austin and Charlotte and more comparative peer communities. And so what I'm going to present for you today is various metrics tied to civic quality, tied to infrastructure, tied to economic vitality, and how Tampa Bay compares to some of these other metro areas. So as I mentioned, we do use 19 peer and competitive markets, so some peer, some aspirational, and we do track about 67 indicators every single year. So anywhere from the unemployment rate to transit ridership. Every year we try to update every single indicator, but some of the data is not necessarily available for update, particularly with some of the COVID years. We had some delays in terms of the census data. This year, we were able to update 65 of those 67 indicators, and I will point out to you which ones were not updated. So among those 19 peer and competitive markets, we do have 3 other Florida markets. So you will see Orlando, South Florida, which is just your Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and Jacksonville as well. So you're going to see our data presented in terms of these tiles, and I do have physical copies of the report for everyone if you're more interested in a deeper dive. The top number, the top left number, under where it says Tampa Bay, is the actual value for that indicator. If it's in green, that means that the value improved, red, it declined, and black, it stayed the same. At the top right, you will see our ranking compared to those 19 other communities. The bold number is our current latest ranking. The number below it is where we were last year. So you can also see whether we've advanced or declined in terms of our ranking. We compare ourselves to United States average on the bottom left, and on the bottom right, we do give you the top performer. So starting with the category of infrastructure. So we track 10 infrastructure metrics that you see listed for you, anywhere from pavement condition to airline passenger growth to transit revenue miles, transit ridership. And we've seen in the last report that we rank in the bottom half across our peer and competitive markets in 7 of the 10 infrastructure indicators. So what you see in blue are the ones that have actually stayed in the top half of those comparison communities. Pavement condition, good or fair, was not able to be updated this year, as well as annual hours lost to congestion. So that is still a 2022 metric. When you look at these infrastructure indicators a little bit more of a deep dive, you can see that our average commute time, the actual value, so that is in minutes, average commute time in Tampa Bay, and I also need to emphasize that Tampa Bay, for the purposes of this report, is the 8-county region. So anywhere from Citrus County all the way down to Sarasota County, including Polk as well. So those 8 counties in our larger metro area. So 26.8 average commute time in minutes, but you can see that we fell in terms of the ranking from 11th place to 13th place. And the share of commuters with 1+ hour commutes, also the value improved, but we fell in terms of our ranking. So what that's saying to you is that even with hybrid and flexible work schedules, other communities are outpacing us in terms of the ability to take advantage of different modes of transportation that would reduce your commute time. When we look at that pavement condition rated fair or good, you can see that this is from the previous report, and you can see that that year we actually fell in rank from 3rd place to 6th place, and the value also declined. You can see as well those peer and competitive markets on the right-hand side, and how Tampa Bay is near the top. This is one of those 3 indicators that was in the top half of comparison communities. On the other end of the scale, if we look at something like pedestrian and cyclist fatalities, this is where we really have room for improvement. So Tampa Bay is nearly twice as likely to have pedestrian or cyclist fatalities compared to the U.S. average. So you can see at the bottom left, the U.S. average is 2.25 pedestrian and cyclist fatalities per 100,000 residents. Tampa Bay is at 4.38. So we are ranking second to last among comparison communities. And of course, keep in mind that some of these comparison communities, right, like your Minneapolis, St. Paul, your Seattle, weather might be a factor in terms of pedestrians and cyclists, but even comparing us to other Florida communities, we're near the bottom of the pack. When we look at our walkability score, so this is walkscore.com, you can look up any community, any metro area, and also a particular neighborhood, and see what the walkability score of that area is. You can see that our value actually decreased, but we remained in the same rank of 11. So we are somewhere near the middle of the pack there. Looking at transit ridership, both the demand and the supply for transit ridership. So we look at transit vehicle revenue miles more on the supply side, and transit ridership per capita more on the demand side. So interestingly here, you can see that the actual value, so the riders per capita, actually decreased in value for both of those metrics, but you can see that our rank improved. But more importantly, looking at the rank, you can see that we're still bottom of the pack in terms of for the supply of transit, we are 19th out of 20 comparison communities, and the demand for transit, we are 18 out of 20 comparison communities. So we are 4 times less than the top performer, which is Seattle. And if you look at the top 5 metros here, it's not just the Seattles of the world. You do see other communities like, for example, Austin and Denver that are doing significantly better than we are, and more peer-type communities than a Seattle would be. Moving from infrastructure to economic vitality. So I'm going to tie it all together in terms of why the infrastructure really does tie to the economics. But here you can see the average wages in the greater Tampa Bay region are about $57,000 a year. You can see that we're also bottom of the pack. We did move in from 19th place to 18th place, but we are significantly lower than the United States average. And again, you can see Seattle tops the pack, which shouldn't be surprising, but we have some other more comparable metros in that top 5 that do rank well. If you want to look at household income, you can see that that's about $62,819 a year, and we are in last place for median household income. Breaking this down by county, since I know there's a little bit more interest here in Hillsborough County, I wanted to show you average wages by county. And you can see lowest on the bar chart here is Hernando with about $42,000 a year, and highest would be Hillsborough County with about $64,879 average annual wages. When you look at that broken down by income, by county, you can see here that Sarasota does top the counties in terms of household income, but Hillsborough is still above the Florida average at $65,905. Now, turning into average wages into economic hardship, we can look at poverty rates. And here the interesting trend to look at is that for the poverty rate, the left-hand side tile, you can see that the value actually worsens. So we have more people that fall into the poverty category, but you can see that we improved in ranking. So we improved 1 notch going from 17th place to 16th place, but we actually picked up more individuals that would be classified as poor. So when you look at the second tile, full-time worker poverty rates, that is, you had a full-time job in the last year, you can see that that rate significantly falls to 2.18%, and it's in green, which means the value improved, as did our ranking. Worryingly, though, youth poverty rate both fell in value and in ranking. So we do have a situation where more children are growing up in poverty. If I break down poverty rate by race and ethnicity, and I'm just looking at the Tri-County region, so just looking at Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas, you can see the disparities between white residents, Black or African American residents, Asian, Hispanic, or Latino, and then white not classified as Hispanic or Latino. So lowest rates are typically coming from whites or white not Hispanic or Latino. Highest rates are coming from Black or African American and Hispanic or Latino populations. When you look at labor force participation rates, and this is probably one of the metrics that worries us the most, is that we rank in last place in terms of labor force participation rate across the other 19 comparison communities. The value improved, so 76.74% of people between the ages of 25 and 64 that are actively working or seeking work. So they are putting in an application, submitting a resume, going on an interview. We do fall below the US average, though. The unemployment rate has been improving, as you know, and so that value did improve in Tampa Bay, and we did move up 5 notches in terms of our ranking. What I want to emphasize to you here, though, is that it's very important to look at the labor force participation broken down by age. So we all know that Florida is a very attractive destination for those looking to retire or to retire early. So we were curious as to, are there certain age groups that are actually having that impact on that lower labor force participation rate? And as you can see, yes. So anywhere after 54 years, you can see those labor force participation rates begin to drop, particularly at 60. So we're seeing that we do have a lot of pull for early retirees that's affecting that rate. But worryingly, you also see it at the younger years. So you still do see significantly lower labor force participation rates from 16 to 24 years. And that is an area of concern as well. When you look at labor force participation rate by county, you can see that the more schooling, the higher labor force participation. So this is an area where we can make a difference. We are #1 in net migration for the entire 8-county region, so across 20 comparison communities, we are the top community in first place for net migration. And you can see that that is at 2.18. This is from July 1st, 2020 to July 1st, 2021. Net migration by county, if you're interested to see where we're seeing people move, you can see that Hillsborough does fall below the Florida average in terms of the percent of migrants. So it doesn't include births and deaths, it just includes residents moving into the area. And you can see that some of the largest growth is coming out of Sarasota, Pasco, Citrus counties, which coincidentally would tie into some of those commute times that you saw earlier. Early learning, we have some room to grow here, and you can see that first tile shows you third grade reading levels. So about 50.47% of our third graders pass their reading on grade. About less than 50% of our kindergartners pass kindergarten readiness tests, and only about 43.26% of our 3- and 4-year-olds are actually enrolled in an early learning program to prepare them for kindergarten. Breaking that down by your counties, so what I wanted to do here is show you how we track over time. And if you look at Hillsborough, second to last set of bars, you can see that going from the 3- and 4-year-olds enrolled to kindergarten readiness to third grade reading levels is pretty consistent, right? We're keeping the same enrollment and the same achievement levels across those grade levels, across those years. When you look at Pasco and Pinellas, you see very different trends. So if you see Pasco, you can see that Pasco has very few 3- and 4-year-olds enrolled in early learning comparatively, but they tend to do relatively well in kindergarten readiness and in third grade reading levels. And when you look at Pinellas, Pinellas has comparatively a very large number of 3- and 4-year-olds enrolled in early learning, but they tend to lose a lot of ground by the time they get to third grade. So there's a lot of other factors at play other than just attendance and being school ready. Here you can see more of those numbers broken down by county, but they were presented in the previous slide as well. So now going back to the economics a little bit. So we're seeing that average wages are relatively low in our region, but we're seeing that home sales, the prices of existing homes are sky high. So if you look at our growth over time, if we look at the beginning of the pandemic, February 2020 to December 2022, you can see that our home price appreciation was 55.67% across the 8 counties. If you just look at it in a 1-year, year-over-year time frame, so December 21 to December 22, about 7.84%, and our median home sales price is $378,967. We have seen a slight slowdown in the number of home sales over the last few months, even though there was a little bit of an uptick for February. I wanted to show you that broken down by county. So you can look at median home prices broken down by county, and above the Florida average would be Manatee and Sarasota, with Hillsborough coming in at $380,000 median home sales price. Lowest would be Citrus, and then Hernando. If you want to know the growth rates broken down by county year over year, you can see highest growth rates are some of those outlying counties again, which correlates with those higher commute times as well. So Citrus, Hernando counties, we're seeing a lot of that pull into working in Hillsborough County. There is the graphic if you were interested, what other communities rank towards the top in existing home sales price growth. So we are there at #1, 26% year over year when you look at it June to June, which is when we track it for the report. And then you can see that Florida markets are near the top. So second is Jacksonville, third is Orlando, and Texas and North Carolina are also pretty attractive. When you look at our affordability metrics, so the first tile shows you affordability as a percentage of income. So what do we spend on housing and transportation combined as a percent of our income? And that's about 54 cents of every dollar on just those 2 items, housing and transportation. If you break it into housing, it's about 34 cents of every dollar goes to housing, and then about another 14.6% of your income going to just transportation. So when you look at the first tile, what it's showing you is that about 54 cents of your income, of every dollar that you earn, goes to transportation and housing before you've even bought a bite of food in our area. If we break down affordability by county, you can see that Hillsborough does rank the highest in terms of cost of housing and transportation comparatively to other counties. So again, why we're seeing a lot of the home price appreciation and the number of sales growing in some of those outlying counties as well. Thank you so much for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I do have a copy of the report if you're interested.
Thank you. Are there any questions or discussion items from the commissioners this time? Yes, Commissioner Kress.
Sure. Thank you. It looked like Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Seattle are killing it based on some of the numbers that you flashed up there. Do you have any insight into why those communities are ranking so high and so many different factors?
So Seattle, we do see a lot of rise at the top when you're talking about those economic factors, so your wages, your household income, but also your transit indicators, right? So there's a lot of opportunities within Seattle in terms of transit options, but also what they've attracted in terms of the industries they've attracted are leading to some of those higher wages. We have been in conversations with the Minneapolis partnership, so our equivalent in Minneapolis, and we've been having conversations about what they're doing, particularly around talent, so that we can prepare our talent to be able to not only have those higher paying jobs, but also to attract business to our area that would entice them to come because we have the right talent that they're looking for. And they have a lot of very innovative programs to attract and retain talent for some of the partnerships that they have with their local businesses. So we are in conversations with some of those top performers in terms of what are they doing right. And we do, in the next couple months, you will see our best practices published on our website, which will actually highlight another community that is doing really well in a particular sector. So some of those will come out in the next coming months.
Yes, Commissioner Cardenas.
Earlier in your presentation, you were talking about labor, and kind of, it sounds like we have a loss in labor workforce. I'm curious, how does that incorporate in the context of we've got so many people coming into town that are living here, but they work somewhere else, or their profession is online? You know, those are adding to our community, but then again, we're adding that statistical number of one person, but then again, maybe it's not lining up directly with how it were ratio numbers in reference to labor in comparison to what would be expected.
And that's exactly right. And we do hear that from a lot of the organizations in our area that do some of the community work, you know, some of the development area, some of the talent area. We hear the stories of we're doing really well in attracting talent here in terms of relocating from more expensive areas. So for those of us that grew up here, we're shocked it's so expensive to live here and that homes are so expensive. But that's not the reality for people who are coming from New York or for California. Our prices are still really low. So we're seeing a lot of talent being brought in, but we're not seeing a lot of investment in our local talent. And so we're seeing that discrepancy between the number of disconnected youth, for example. We have about 58,000 at last count disconnected youth between the ages of 16 and 24. So those are individuals that they're in their prime years to go to school or to get experience for a job, and they're idle. They're not doing either. They're not working, they're not studying. So what are they doing? And will that problem just compound in the future years beyond 24 when they need to sustain a family? So I think what you're saying is absolutely the truth, is as we bring in more businesses to the area, we're able to bring in some of that talent. They're able to retain their wages from their existing jobs, and for them we're affordable, but we're not providing those same opportunities for our local talent, and there's still work to be done there.
All right. Commissioner Bernstein.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. Really interesting data. Kind of touching on what we just discussed, I mean, the first few slides that deal, I think, a little more with living conditions in the area, even pavement quality, paint a picture of a community that's in need of some infrastructure improvements, and yet, as we just discussed, people continue to move here, perhaps even further testing the infrastructure. So did you get a sense, as you dug deeper into the numbers, what these populations that are descending upon us and adding to those challenges, whether their dispositions, their needs, and their interests are consistent with those who are already here? Did you get a sense, for example, that they're using public transportation to the same degree that our existing residents are? I'd be curious about that.
So I don't have any hard data to answer that question exactly, but what I can speak to is the growth is in the outlying counties. That's the greatest growth. So what we're seeing is that from talking to our business partners, that you're still seeing a lot of hybrid or remote work schedules. And so they're able to live further out, but that absolutely, transit ridership is down. So they are not moving to our area to take advantage of transit ridership. And then we have seen also as well that in terms of walkability and transit options, that is our challenge in attracting and retaining young talent. So if what we want to do is bring in those 20, 30-year-olds that are going to be the future entrepreneurs and have them call our area home, they like walkable neighborhoods more than we did growing up. They like using transit and not owning a car. And so we are potentially falling behind some of the other communities, like let's say a Charlotte, that is giving some options like that, where they don't have to have a vehicle if they live in the right neighborhoods and can use public transit to do some of that. So we're seeing the growth in the outlying counties, and we're also seeing that we don't have the transit options to have them incorporate more into the community at large.
Well, and to that point, it dawns on me that for folks, including me, I think from time to time, we've assumed our climate has been a hindrance, right, to first mile, last mile, and it's just not as necessarily as friendly to pedestrian options in the summer. You can certainly point to Minneapolis, which seems to have the opposite climate challenge, but it didn't seem to be an impediment to their ranking highly across the board.
And we've gotten the comment too as well with Minneapolis, of course they have less pedestrian and cyclist fatalities because nobody's walking for, a significant part of the year, which is just a very good point. I will say that Florida, if you look at the bottom of the list of pedestrian and cyclist fatalities, those are the 4 Florida metros that we track, and then next in line would be Texas. So I think it is an issue with, we do have more people out and about. We also do not have the infrastructure in place for sidewalks and bike lanes. And as a motorist, I have to remind myself every day to stop before that crosswalk to make sure I am checking that nobody's crossing, because for most of my life, really nobody walked. And now you're starting to see a lot more people out and about walking. And so I think it's also a change in our mentality of what we're used to here.
Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That was depressing. That whole entire presentation was depressing. We seem to be at the bottom of so many metrics, except house values. Was one big one. And it doesn't seem like the local population is benefiting at all from all that net migration. The other thing I wanted to comment on was the early learning. We're 4th. Now, is that compared, are we 4th because of Florida standards, or is that a nationwide comparison?
We can't compare nationwide because we all across different states test differently. So those are across the 4 Florida markets that we track.
Okay.
So when I give you those rankings, it's across Orlando, Jacksonville, and South Florida. I will say that we also rank 1st in net migration. But I do also want to emphasize that, so we are still attractive, right? We've got to give ourselves some credit that there's something about us that's still attractive. But I will say that, these aren't our metrics. These are the community's metrics. And so across the 8 counties, as a community, we have to embrace these and say, well, this isn't the Tampa Bay Partnership or Tampa or Hillsborough County putting this out. This is the census putting this out. This is the, Federal Highway Administration putting this out. This is all of us have to own it together to work to impact change on those areas that are most important to us for our local talent and our local community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Rodriguez.
Thank you. Excellent presentation, Dr. Farriss. And in full disclosure, I was with Demetria this morning at the Regional Planning Council. I got the same presentation, so numbers are just falling out of my head right now. But aside from that, so we've got these statistics. We know what's wrong. What is the Tampa Bay Partnership going to lead us as a community in to help us turn some of these numbers around?
I will say that, this is my 6th month with the Tampa Bay Partnership, so I'm their new research director, and I will say that the most impressive thing to me about this organization, it's not just about calculating the numbers, putting them out there, and then walking away. It's having those discussions with our business leaders, with our stakeholders, and our organizations that do the community work, United Way Suncoast, Community Foundation Tampa Bay, and saying, what programs can we get behind and support? So for example, since we presented the findings of the report in February 10th, we have met with the CEOs of the early learning coalitions for Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough repeatedly to say, what do we do to increase the share of 3 and 4-year-olds enrolled in school so that we can increase kindergarten readiness? BMITRA has met with the superintendents of schools for the various counties and said, what do we need to do to increase 3rd grade reading levels? And so we discuss as part of our working group, so our investors, part of the business community, get together and discuss what do they want to advocate for based on the recommendations from the stakeholders in our community that say, well, that metric is low because of this. And that's what we get behind in terms of advocating for public policy or in terms of supporting specific programs and getting the word out to the community at large. So we do that with early learning, we do that with the talent pipeline, in terms of working with USF and HCC and different universities in the area to say, do you have alternative credentialing? What kind of programs are there for students that are economically disadvantaged? How does the business community partner with you? Right? And then as well with transportation, looking at options of exploring a regional MPO. Is that the solution so that we can move forward on transit? So we do look at the issue, at the data, and have the data inform us in terms of what direction we want to move some of those metrics so that the next time I stand before you, we're seeing at least a little bit of improvement year over year.
All right, Commissioner Bowden.
Yes, I had a question in regards to the incomes. In your study, are you taking in consideration the short-term residents that come down, the winter up north, they come here? Are you taking that in consideration as well? Because, there's a pretty heavy population that actually comes to stay for, 4, 6, 8 months.
So most of our income data, so the average wage data comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and that's basically based on payroll. When you look at household income, that's coming from the census. And what we're seeing, to your point that I find incredibly interesting, is that it is very different county by county. So if I look at like Citrus County, for example, I'll see very high incomes in the early years. I'll see higher incomes in the 20s and 30s, and then I'll see income just drop. But if I compare that to net worth, that net worth shoots up because you have a lot more retirees in Citrus County. And so because the population is skewed more towards you're living off of your wealth, your retirement income isn't necessarily the one that's driving it, but it's your savings, the value of your home, the value of your stocks and bonds. And so you're seeing that difference county by county, where certain age groups, if the county is younger, is being driven by the income. If the county is older, demographically, you're seeing it driven by net worth. So we are a very diverse area in terms of the different counties, but I think we have some of the same challenges when we look at the metrics at the end of the day.
I had a question myself. I was wondering, I noticed some scalar shift throughout the presentation. We started off with an 8-county area, and then we looked at a tri-county area, and then there were individual county comparisons in between. I was wondering if you could speak to what were the impacts of that, or why those decisions were made. Why did we go with the 8-county area? That seems pretty broad. Why didn't we just do the tri-county throughout and compare that? Why the scalar shifting, I'm wondering?
So for our report, so when I give you the printed copy, or if you go to our website at stateoftheregion.com, it is always the 8-county region. So as an organization, we are 8-county region focused. And the idea is to bring in together the business community from the larger Tampa Bay area to help us resolve some of these issues. So that's the report. Because I'm presenting to you today, and this is Hillsborough County, I broke down those metrics for you today into more of, are you interested in just seeing it county by county? Are you interested in comparing to Pasco and Pinellas, which is just, your more neighboring counties? But for us, it's always the 8-county region as an organization, but everything can always be broken down further however you would need it.
Cool, and thank you for breaking it down. That was very helpful to see what Hillsborough does. My next question was, that 8-county region, how does it compare to our comparative regions? Like, I hear you say Seattle. Seattle's a city. Is that an 8-county region of Seattle or Orlando? Or are we talking about 8 counties around Orlando too, or are we just talking about Orlando there?
So it is whatever designation is given to that metropolitan area.
The MSA?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that is what we go for every other community. For Tampa, we extend it so that we can look at the 8-county region.
Okay.
Yes. I will say, though, that most of our numbers, for most indicators, you will see that they match the Hillsborough County numbers much more closely, just because of population size. So anything that we do across the 8 counties, we weight it by population. So you can imagine that the weight of Hillsborough carries so much more heavily than the weight of, say, a Citrus or a Hernando.
Okay. And my last question was, in all this research and looking at the different areas, did you look at I guess the question I'm asking is the government setups? Because I know just in our Tri-County MSA, when you go from Hillsborough County to Pinellas County has a lot of smaller little governments and municipalities. So did you look at how the other regions outside of Florida, are their governments broken up like that? And the reason I'm asking that is because sometimes that can lead to more or less ease when it comes to getting things passed, getting things, financed or corrected. So that all has influences on, how we can go forward, just different structures of government like that. So I'm just wondering if you looked at anything like that in the other regions as comparative to ours.
I would say not as part of the report, so not as part of the data, but we do have conversations, routine conversations with the leaders in these different areas, whether it's their chambers or their partnerships or their development institutions. And so in those talks, that does come out. So for example, for the greater Washington area, how did you organize across state lines, right? And so those conversations are had, and we do take note of that when we do make policy recommendations, but we don't track it as part of our data.
Okay. Thank you. Very good.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Commissioner Cardenas.
Yeah, so I am curious about something. So, I'm in real estate, so I'm consistently always looking at values, prices, things that sell. And recently I've also gone to Miami to go do some work there, and I kind of see what their numbers look like too. And the thing that I see, which may be some basis to it or not, is, their community is strongly based on a lot of people that don't live there. They invest there or they own there, but they don't live there. And, their prices are at these, high numbers. And I feel like our community is going that similar to same direction. Is there any comparisons there or anything there between Miami-Dade County and our county that correlate, or have you seen anything like that? Have you guys anything at all?
Other than we track Miami as one of our comparison communities, right? So that whole West Palm down to Miami geographic metro area. Other than looking at those aggregate numbers for the 67 indicators, the only other thing I can tell you is when I looked at net migration that I showed you by our counties, I looked at it for all those Florida counties, and I was very surprised that I saw out-migration coming from Miami. So, we tend to think of Miami as, this very hot, popular destination, but they're also moving to the outlying counties, which is what we're seeing as well. So to your point, those housing prices, particularly when you see a lot of foreign investment or investment coming out of state, is impacting your local community that they need to move further out from that area to be able to afford it. Thank you.
All right. Were there any more questions, comments, or discussion items from the commissioners? Not seeing any. We'll thank you for the great presentation and your time, and we will move on to our next agenda item. 4B, TACPA 23-02, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment, 7702 South O'Brien Street, and the presenter is David Hay.
Is it working? Oh, of course. There we go. Good afternoon. David Hay, Planning Commission staff. The next item is a briefing on your first of three briefing items today for the Tampa Plan Amendment cycle that started in February. This is a briefing on TA CPA 23-02, 7702 South O'Brien Street. It's privately initiated. It's a small scale. It's approximately 0.12 acres in size. Currently, the site is light industrial. The applicant is looking to go to the residential 10 future land use category. Here we have the general locator map. It is located in the southern part down near Port Tampa City, down here. It is within the South Tampa Planning District, again, the Port Tampa City neighborhood, and the site does fall within the coastal high hazard area. Here we have an aerial of the subject site. It's outlined in yellow, right in the center. This is South O'Brien Street running north and south. We've got MacDill Air Force Base directly to the south and their fuel tanks. And West Tarpon Street runs east-west to the north of the subject site. And this is the southwest Port Tampa City Park. And then you do have some other industrial uses to the west. But this is the predominantly single-family detached in character. The aerial is slightly dated. When we get to the photos, you'll see that there's been some single-family detached housing actually developed adjacent to the subject site. So here we are. Here's a picture looking at the subject site. You can see that there is now a single-family detached house to the south and directly to the east. So this is an infill lot. And now we're looking down South O'Brien Street toward MacDill Air Force Base is down here past the trees. Here we have the adopted future land use map. The subject site in that light gray is light industrial. There is some scattered light industrial future land use category left. Basically, the majority of the light industrial east of South Elliott Street is privately owned, while there's some light industrial uses west, and they continue west off this map. Those are predominantly owned by the city of Tampa. If this amendment is finally approved, the subject site would match the surrounding residential 10, which is that tan color. So currently, under the light industrial, of course, residential is not permitted. It does allow for the development of up to 7,578 square feet approximately of non-residential uses. So that could be light industrial, warehousing, things like that. Under the residential 10, it does introduce the potential for residential, just one unit, but it does also decrease the potential for non-residential uses down to 1,768 square feet. And again, any of that non-residential would need to meet commercial locational criteria. It would also prohibit any light industrial uses now on the site. So we'll be back in May at your public hearing with a recommendation, and I'm available if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the commissioners? Commissioner Braza.
David, I was just curious about this area in its entirety. It looks like it was a platted subdivision, and it's being built out with new residential to there. How did it get a light industrial zone to begin with?
My understanding is a lot of it was platted but never developed south of, right north of the base. It was never developed. So when either zoning conformance or the plan came around, I think the thought was have some industrial uses right up against the base. The pattern long-term, though, has been, none of those light industrial have ever really developed out as anything. And when these started coming in, typically as an agency, as a staff, we've recommended to you all not do these changes within coastal high hazard areas. We looked at a number of those plan amendments we recommended approval on based on the potential threat to the established neighborhood to the north, because the only way to get to the industrial down there that was all planned out but never developed was through the local roads coming down. So you could potentially have, if the light industrial ever developed, you could have industrial trucks going through the neighborhood. So over the years, it's kind of been a slow transition. I will say at one point we did approach the city because they do own a number of those parcels, and we discussed with them numerous times within about a year of potentially coming in for a plan amendment, but it never came to fruition. So we still have those remaining ones down there.
Looks like Commissioner Rodriguez also had some input on that.
Yeah, a little more history on that. Those platted lots are from the 1920s, from the original Port Tampa City, which was annexed into City of Tampa back in the 1960s. So that is, those are old plats, very small lots for back in the day, and they resurrected those plats, and they're building those homes. But as David said, we enjoyed an industrial buffer between the base and the Port Tampa community up until about 10 or 15 years ago, and then the residential infill started, and these are one of the few industrials literally in this new residential area that's been created.
Thank you. All right. Were there any more questions from the commissioners? Commissioner Kress.
If you're able to speak on behalf of the base, Commissioner Rodriguez, you know, my understanding is you're desperate for housing near the base because of all the back and forth between South Hillsborough County, right? So does the base have a position on kind of this, losing industrial land, you know, multifamily, anything like that?
And unfortunately, that just seems to be the way of what's happening in Tampa, is we're losing our industrial land to residential development. The base is looking for quality, affordable housing close to the base. It depends on who the developer is, as far as what the price point's going to be on these individual properties that are going up. I am very active with the city's Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, and we are working with the city to identify parcels of land in the South Tampa area that could be used for affordable housing.
Right. Commissioner Fernandez. Oh, did you have more? Oh, Commissioner Fernandez.
Please give me 1 second. Well, this area definitely is going to fall under my approval of the coastal high hazard area, you know, warning. We've got 472 single-family homes built here since 2010. Average elevations around 3 feet in this area, and this exact property is about 3 feet from a drainage canal. If you've been down there in the summer, which I have because I've studied sea level rise for the city of Tampa, the ground is soggy. So I'm not, you know, this falls on the city, but these houses are being built, like I said, 472 since 2010 in this area, and they're all in serious danger of a storm surge. You know, a lot of times I'm not really a rubber stamp for that, but that's for constructions that's lifted, and if you drive through these neighborhoods, they're not. So they're just, it's poor decision making. That's just all I got.
I'm wondering if staff wants to respond to that in any way, because staff constantly brings us this coastal high hazard issue and wields it about in ways that they want to. So Commissioner Fernandez makes a valid point here about the coastal high hazard area that's just being ignored. Any response from staff or agency representatives?
I mean, as staff, I would say we're not ignoring the coastal high hazard area. We have to balance the development, that potential that's within the coastal high hazard area. Like, you know, you have to balance that with all the other policy directions within the comprehensive plan. I think, like, typically, staff will come back with a finding of inconsistent if it's in the coastal high hazard area. For instance, there's been a number of plan amendments that you've seen recently within the Channel District that has asked for RMU 100, and I believe staff on those recommended denial due to the number and the density that was proposed, even though the Channel District is pretty developed out already at number of parcels developed out at RMU 100. The other ones regarding these parcels down there, it was on the other ones down in this area, it was a concern for staff. But weighing out the factors, and again, we're going to be looking at this and back with you with a consensus finding next month, but looking at the potential impacts to the neighborhood based on the truck traffic, if it's developed out as industrial, weighs in because we have the neighborhood protection policies. There's also policies that support infill, and then one of the deciding factors on other plan amendments within this area was that it's a low density for the city of Tampa. The residential 10 for the city, there's residential 6 and residential 10. Those are the two that are actually on the maps within the city. So that it's a low category and can only be developed for the one house, which was platted back in the 20s, that staff historically has looked at that and taken all that and came with recommendations for approval on the other amendments in this area based on the impacts. So again, each plan amendment will be reviewed on its own, but the policies really have not shifted yet on that. The city is looking at updating all their coastal high hazard policies. So hopefully within the next months, we'll have some updates to the coastal high hazard area for you for the city. But until then, the policy direction has basically stayed the same.
Thank you, Mr. Hay. Yes, Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally appreciate that, and appreciate everything you've said there. I just want my fellow commissioners to know and the public that the single-family homes in this area, their front yards are flooded during high tide. So this is more of a higher threat to any kind of storm surge. Employ you to take a drive down there next August, September, where everybody's front yard has a foot of water in the storm drains that they can't put underground because there's not enough space to that water table. So I just want everybody to know about the area.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez, and I'd like to thank you, Mr. Hay. I know I put you on the spot a little bit
No,
there.
that's fine.
Remind everyone that these are just briefings. We're not taking a vote on any of this, so it will come back before us next month for
We'll be
official
back.
action. So any more comments from the commissioners while we have them up there? No? Thank you, Mr. Hay, for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
We'll move on to our next item. Item 4C, TACPA 23-04, Comprehensive Plan Map Amendment. And the presenter is Sam Thomas.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am going to introduce and pass this presentation off to Erica Larson. She is our intern from USF.
Good afternoon. This is Erica Larson. I'm a fellow at USF in the MERP program. Today I will be presenting the briefing for TACPA 2304, 1222 Channelside Drive. Some background on this: it was privately initiated. It is small scale in size. It is approximately 1 acre, and the request is to go from heavy industrial to regional mixed use 100. Here is the site on our general locator map. It is within the Central Tampa Planning District, the Channel District neighborhood and urban village, and is within the coastal high hazard area and Central Business District periphery. Here is the site on our general locator map. It is within the Central Tampa Planning District, the Channel District neighborhood and urban village, and is within the coastal high hazard area and Central Business District periphery. And this is an aerial of the site. To the north is Ybor City. To the east is the Ybor Channel and the port. Southeast is where the cruise terminals start. And to the west, you have part of the gasworks development. Here is an image looking west from East Twig Street. The subject site is on the right. And here is another image looking north at the subject site from East Twig Street. Here is a map of the adopted future land use. You can see the site is designated as heavy industrial. You can see the predominant land use category in this area is regional mixed use 100, with a few heavy industrial sites within the area. The site is within the coastal high hazard area, and the green lines on this map are the coastal high hazard area. Here is a map of the proposed future land use, which you can see the site is recognized under the regional mixed use 100. There were a couple of plan amendments just north of the site over the last few years that requested the change from heavy industrial to future land use RMU 100. This area is transitioning to a more mixed use developmental pattern. Under the heavy industrial designation, residential uses are not permitted. The heavy industrial designation allows the consideration of non-residential uses of up to 65,000 for 340 square feet. Under the requested regional mixed-use 100, they can be considered for up to 100 units or 152,460 square feet of non-residential or residential uses. Since the subject site is within the central business district periphery boundary, it is possible additional density intensity can be considered on the site above the maximum shown. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any comments or questions on this item? Discussion from the commissioners? Yes, Commissioner Kress.
Just one clarification. I think I heard you say that this was adjacent to the Gasworks development. I thought the Gasworks development was north of the Selman Expressway.
Yeah, it's north, or it's, the gasworks is west of the subject site, like northwest.
Northwest.
Yeah.
Northwest. Thank you.
Are there any more questions, discussion from the commissioners? Not seeing any, we'll thank you for the presentation and move on to our next agenda item. Item 4D, TACPA 2305, another comprehensive plan map amendment, and the presenter is Emily Phelan.
Emily Phelan, Planning Commission staff. This is TACPA 2305, multiple parcels located between East Ross Avenue and East 7th Avenue. The request is privately initiated, small scale, is approximately 5.22 acres, and the request is to go from community commercial 35 to urban mixed use 60. This is the site on the general location map. It's located within the Central Planning District, the Tampa Heights Urban Village and neighborhood, and portions of the site are within the local and national historic districts. This is the aerial of the subject site. The site is outlined in pink, and the blue dotted line is the National Historic District boundary, and the red dotted line is the local historic district boundary line. To the west, you have some commercial uses, and to the east is some multifamily and residential, single-family detached residential uses, and this is the site of the YMCA. This is the YMCA administrative building, and it's looking north on East Oak Avenue, facing the subject site. And this is moving further north in the subject site on North Franklin Street, facing the YMCA. This is the adopted future land use map. You can see the subject site outlined in black, and it is with the community commercial 35 designation. To the northeast and the northwest is residential 35, and directly to the east of some of the subject site is residential 83, and then to the west is RMU 100. And I should note, this is the coastal high hazard area line right here. And this is the proposed future land use map. You can see the subject site is under the designation with the urban mixed use 60. Under the existing community commercial 35 designation, the subject site can be considered for 182 units and slightly over 454,000 square feet of residential or non-residential uses. And under the proposed urban mixed use 60 designation, it can be considered for 313 units or over 7,308 square feet of residential or non-residential uses. And the request of the urban mixed use 60 has the potential to introduce high intensity multifamily uses. And this concludes my presentation. The 3 briefings that you have seen on the map amendments will be back before you on May 8th. And they have a tentatively scheduled date of Tampa City Council for May or June. Any questions?
All right. Are there any questions or discussion items from the commissioners? This one, not seeing any, then we'll thank you for the presentation, and we will move on to our next item of business. And 5, which is an action item, the compensation review for the executive director. And the presenter is me and Mr. Robbins. Give me a second here to get all my paper paper trail out here. So we are gonna, I guess, take a moment to discuss the recent review for the executive director, and then potential compensation and contractual obligations here. I guess I'll start by asking if anybody had any specific input. I noticed from the scoring on the executive director's review that there were some not quite stellar numbers on there. I know the numbers that bother Ms. Zornita, because I've put some of those myself in the past. Fortunately, this go round I wasn't party to some of those things, but I'm wondering if anybody had any specific comments or questions for Ms. Zornita resulting from the ranking and rating worksheet that we had to work through. Commissioner Handy.
Yeah, it was not the user-friendliest thing. And some of it I struggled with because I can't speak for everyone, I guess, but it would seem that we would have no way of knowing performance standards for some of those categories. So and I think that probably unfairly for Melissa, it ended up with sort of a neutral score versus maybe what should have been a little bit higher. So that was problematic for me, speaking personally, when I was using that form. And maybe the form needs to be revisited. Maybe there needs to be some better definitions of exactly what it is she's being ranked on. Maybe a little bit more background. I don't know if staff has an opportunity to complete some of those same forms or provide some input, because some of it did have to do with like how she handles staff, for example. And I don't remember specifically, but stuff that we would have, how would we know? So probably it would have come out a little bit better and more fair if some of those items were, either we got more feedback or more definition, or maybe could just stick to the things that we are qualified to rank her on.
That's good input. We hear that a lot and have heard that a lot over the years about the worksheet, the rating worksheet. Seems to be a continuing problem. I did want to say that the overall score didn't come out too bad. So even though there were some, the overall score was okay. So, but yeah, you make some salient points, and we have heard that in the past, that there's a bit of a barrier for some people in trying to get in there and rank her on some of these things. So thank you. Commissioner Fernandez.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to echo exactly that. Sometimes I was like, I don't know how to, score this. I have no clue. So maybe there would just be either different questions or some guidance, that's all. But just wanted to echo her comments.
Do you think it would help if Ms. Zornita reached out to you personally, or each of us as board members during that period, to discuss the worksheet and the review worksheet, or clarify these things at a one-to-one level?
Maybe on some of the topics, but like Commissioner Henley said, I don't know.
Right. I
just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bernstein.
Yeah, on that last question, I just think in the world I deal with outside of this with employment practices, I think personally I'd advise against having the executive director suggest the same thing. But it sounds like there's an easy workaround. There probably are any number of other suitable people that we could inject into that process that might be able to walk our commissioners through that if they're so inclined.
Thank you. Commissioner Bowden.
Yeah, I echo Commissioner Handy's comments as well. And me being, I guess, the newest down the block, some of the things it's kind of like I have no clue, but I can relate to some of the things to a prior experience, before I became a commissioner. So that was kind of my thinking. But I agree that maybe there should be some type of pre-work or some type of little more explanation and saying that, working with staff, maybe give me an example or something of what that role is, and, take for instance that I do 20 annual reviews or something like that, and Just something to kind of shed a little bit of light on the, what is happening in that particular category.
Okay. Yes, Commissioner Handy.
Does the staff have an opportunity to do something similar?
So every other year, we do a, they changed the name from a climate survey because everyone thought that was about the temperature, but it's a staff satisfaction and engagement survey that is anonymous, and an outside consultant conducts that for us and gets the results. And so, yes, we do, but the outside consultant has advised that every other year is about, as frequently as you would see to really see changes in that. So that occurs in the even years, so you didn't have the benefit of that going into this review, but we do typically time that so that we get the results in February before my review in those years. So that is something. We recently met with in a leadership coaching session for supervisors to talk about, ideas like 360 reviews and things of that nature. So certainly I'm open to exploring that. The other thing that just occurred to me as Commissioner Bowden was talking is that for the staff, they have an opportunity to do a self-assessment and provide kind of what they see are their highest successes of the year and areas where they want to see that they need to grow. And perhaps my providing something like that to you all would be helpful. The last thing I would add is that the goal attainment 1 through 7, those questions relate directly to these performance indicators that the Planning Commission put in place 4 or 5 years ago. I'm not sure exactly how long. Those are all directly measured in our annual report. And in February, when Melissa Dickens gave a report on those, there was a handout attached to the agenda item specific with how we had performed on those indicators. But again, we could provide that directly to you at the same time as you're looking at this. Again, I'm always I'm more comfortable talking about it now than before the review, to Commissioner Bernstein's point. I appreciate that. I welcome feedback, and anybody who'd like to sit down and talk about how they rated, I'd be eager for that opportunity to understand how I can improve in some of those dimensions. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, were there any more comments? Commissioner Buzz?
That form is kind of cumbersome. And you've been in the same boat. We have a little more experience, I guess, time-wise. So for the personnel questions, I kind of look at the presenters and the quality of their homework, basically. They're coming up, they're knowledgeable, that they're prepared for our questions, and that would lead to Director Zornita's skill set, managing her employees. And, last time I was on the board, was it 18 or 19 I rolled off? But, there's some institutional history there that you could see the development of employees all along the way. And so that, I guess this form wasn't as hard for me, but I think that it could be worded better and maybe some clarifications. Attorney Rob, this isn't, the form is not dictated by any law or anything. That's just a...
No, it's not.
Okay, all right. Maybe there's some tweaks in there and some wording that would make it a little more user-friendly for everybody, because, I struggle with it too. So, but it's maybe the imperfect tool, but maybe that's what we still have to use. I don't know.
Just as a suggestion, I could work with our HR manager on collecting some evaluations of other executive directors who report to boards, because I do think that's a unique dynamic. It makes it a little different than typical performance review. I know we have access to what the TPO does easily, but we could get the EPC director, some other reviews like that, and provide you with some ideas, and then get some feedback on how to perhaps revise this in the coming months.
Yes, Commissioner Bernstein.
I mean, I like the sound of that. I was just going to add that, I mean, it certainly you get a sense in the room that a lot of your job duties, including some that we're being asked to evaluate you on, aren't necessarily apparent to us. But in the short time we're here, really, you figure we scratch the surface, really, of what you're doing for the commission through our role as more public-facing. And so my only point, I guess, is in your interactions with HR, you might, you know, sometimes as obvious as that may seem, it can escape anyone that we don't get to see behind the scenes as much as people might think. And sometimes a job description can be helpful, not that we necessarily need to have that in front of us, but I do think that if you have the job description in front of you and assuming that there's comfort with HR that it accurately represents your functions, there are things you could pull out of their elements that you could then incorporate into a revamped evaluation that would give commissioners a little more comfort that we're now evaluating you on your job, right, what you're being paid to do. So those two things maybe in tandem probably would be helpful to the commission.
Thank you, Commissioner Bernstein. A lot of good feedback. Any other thoughts or comments on our evaluation worksheet from the commissioners? No? All right, then I will move the ball forward here. We next need to discuss the contract and compensation for Ms. Zornita. It looks like last year, am I correct here? 4.25% increase? Yep. Last time, okay. And we didn't need to extend the contract last time, but we're at that point now where we need to do something or get off the pot with the contract. So we have that to deal with this time around here. The current compensation is at $170.37. I know usually we go on the percentage scale. Get my other screen up here. We usually go with the ranking system. So for a remarkable rating, it's usually 4.25%, and then it goes down from there. Commendable is 4%, exceeds expectations, 3.5%, meets expectations, 3%, below expectations, no increase. And there's a numeric range that's typically attached to those. So just going by the numeric range, it appears she's at the top of the heap here. At remarkable, at 4.25% merit increase, which is in line with what we gave her last time around. And I just wanted to get some feedback from the commissioners' thoughts on that. I know we have some experts in financial industries and stuff like that. Commissioner Buzza, if you had any input on cost of living increases or anything like that that may be influential in our decision-making where it comes to this percentage increase here.
Well, I would think, you know, looking at the scoring that was already presented, and you know, there is certainly a cost of living increase throughout Tampa Bay market, that the 425 is not an unreasonable raise.
All right. Then anybody have any other? Commissioner Fernandez?
I was just curious, is there an average percentage raise for the whole commission? Do we know, like, what is, you know, across the board for all employees?
That's a great question. I would say most of the staff fell in the exceeds expectations or commendable range.
But it's the same percentage for each group?
It's the same percentage,
Okay.
yes. So what I provided you attached to that Sharon sent in the email the other day was the ratings for staff, because I always like to be treated the same as staff.
Yeah.
Yes, but I would say most staff fell in the exceeds expectations or commendable.
Okay.
I don't know exact numbers.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fernandez. Are there any more? Yes, Commissioner Buzz.
What's the proposed term of the new contract? Is it 3 years?
I think we get to set what it is. Am I wrong, Tracy?
You do. You've
Yeah.
been carrying a 3-year, at least as a starting point, but it could be 5. You know, less than that becomes more problematic because of the, you know, the implications of it.
Right, right. Okay.
And I would also like to get Ms. Zornita's input on the length of the contract. I hadn't gotten there yet, but I did want to hear from her on what her thoughts would be on, you know, how she would like to see that go about?
Right. The contract currently ends in 2025, and my request would be to extend it to 2028, which would be 5 years from now.
Okay, but our current contract goes through 25, right? Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay. All right. So you're looking for a 5-year extension?
Well, it's a
Three
Three
year,
years
but
to
5
what
years
it already
from now.
is,
Yeah,
yeah.
I got you. All right. Were there any thoughts or input on any of those items? All right, not seeing any. Commissioner Handy?
To me, this kind of goes back to the difficulty we had with the ranking, because we see her for a few hours once a month. And, I mean, I don't really have any doubt that she doesn't deserve a nice raise and a contract extension. But, and maybe it gets back to the job description, comment, or suggestion. I just don't know what she does for the rest of the time. I'm sure it's a lot. But it really makes it difficult to put that into perspective. And it's very helpful, the list of comparable positions. So that does help quite a bit. But if this is something that this board is expected to weigh in on, I think we need to have a lot more to go by. And that's not to say I'm not prepared to make a decision today. I just think that there are things that could be provided to us to make that decision a little bit easier, or make us feel better about what it is we're being asked to do.
All right.
Like how many hours a week does Ms. Zornita work? I mean, is it a 40-hour week? And I know you have to go to all the after-hours things and the community meetings and the evening workshops and all that sort of stuff. But I personally don't feel like I have a really good handle on how much of that you're doing on a regular basis.
All right. Well, we're going to definitely take all these comments back, and you're going to work on them with our HR people here to try and get us some more information going forward. So, like I said, this isn't the first time we've heard comments like those. So, yeah. Commissioner Fernandez, yeah.
I want to agree with that and sort of say the group that exceeds most of the time, what's that percentage? I'm sorry, new laptop, my internet, I haven't had internet since we've been here.
3.5.
3.5.
Exceeds expectations.
So who evaluates them?
Well, we have a hierarchy in the org chart of all of the staff. So
Yeah.
I evaluate 6 employees, and then they evaluate teams of employees underneath them. Ms. Alden evaluates some of the employees under the transportation division, but ultimately all of the reviews are evaluated by me, as all of the staff, even of the TPO, are planning commission employees.
Okay, I'm asking that to piggyback on Commissioner Hanley's comments that we only see you 3 hours a month, so it's kind of hard, and it seems like we're going straight to tremendous, which you probably do a tremendous job. That's not at all. It's just for, in fairness, it'd be just, I'd almost want to see that tree, of who's evaluating who. I don't know, maybe it make me feel better, but on an opposite hand, from that presentation earlier, I think our public employees need the raises they deserve to keep up with everybody moving in here. So it's good to see that the entire staff is evaluated and given decent raises, because it's not the same in other counties or other municipalities.
Well, I would just add that we're extraordinarily lucky here at the Planning Commission to have some really high performers. And so I'm blessed with the team that they make us look good in all of these meetings and presentations. I would just add that the extension on my contract is more important to me than the increase in pay, because it would be helpful to me to know that you have confidence in me going forward and that there's some stability to the organization, particularly given that at the same time we're having transitions in the TPO. So.
And I just wanted to add, just for the record here, for history of this thing, because I don't want it to seem here like we're giving Ms. Zornita remarkables every year. She got a 4.25% increase in 2022. In 2021, there was no increase to the contract. In 2020, there was a 2.5% increase. In 2019, there was 4%. In 2018, there was 4%. In 2017, there was 4%. So she hasn't got remarkable every time. In fact, the only time she's got remarkable was the last time we did this. So keep that in consideration here. Yes, Commissioner Cardenas.
You know, I, listening to a combination of the comments that are kind of coming through, you know, I think in a weird way, we look at these questionnaires and we go through them and we see these high numbers and we're kind of like, well, everybody's putting a high number, right? But at the same time, you look at other organizations that are probably out there that don't have this type of kind of feedback in such a positive light, and I imagine it's a whole other side, right? It's going to be hard to find a situation where everything's like right in the middle, because, you know, if you're doing very well, you're doing very well. And at the same time, I would also say, you know, what somebody does on a daily basis, you know, if you're encouraging your staff positively and you're doing a great job with that, well, they're being more effective. So what you're doing for 5 hours or 2 hours, well, you know, your ability to be successful in communication and being efficient is not, I don't think bears down to a hourly situation, if that makes any sense.
Good point, Commissioner Cardenas. Are there any more comments or discussion items from the commissioners? If not, then I'm going to have to look for some motions on some of these things here, because we're going to need motions for, if we want to increase percentage, we're going to need motions for salary extensions. So I'm going to put it out for discussion one more time, and all right, well, maybe not.
Discussion or motion?
Well, I don't see any discussion, so I'll kick it over to you, Commissioner Buzza, if you'd like to make some sort of motion.
Well, I would like to move that we do increase her pay by the 4.25%. Part of that is the representation of staff here, and also in the general public. I deal with a lot of attorneys and PEs, developers, and you know, generally the feedback on the Planning Commission and its staff is pretty solid, which is not what I can say for a lot of county services right now. And I would be very happy with the 4.25 increase for her. So I'll make that motion.
All right, we have a motion for the salary increase for 4.25% from Commissioner Buzza. Commissioner Handy?
Second.
All right, and a second to that motion from Commissioner Handy for a 4.25% salary increase. Are there any discussions from the commissioners' comments? Not seeing any, I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote on that item.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 8-0.
All right, so we got the increase covered, and next up is the contract itself. And again, I'll open it, Commissioner Buzza.
I'm ready to do the, I'd like to go ahead and move that we extend our contract to 2028.
All right, we have a motion to extend the contract, the current contract, 3 years to 2028. Do I hear a second? Commissioner Bowden?
I'll make that second.
All right, we have a motion to extend it 3 years by Commissioner Buzza, a second to that motion by Commissioner Bowden. Any more discussion from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this point. I'll ask the clerk to do a roll call vote on this item.
Bernstein?
Yes.
Bowden?
Yes.
Buzza?
Yes.
Cardenas?
Yes.
Fernandez?
Yes.
Handy?
Yes.
Kress?
Yes.
Joseph?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried 8-0.
All right, thank you. And that was all for that item. Thank you, commissioners, and congratulations, Ms. Zornita. Our next item on the agenda is item 6, the Executive Director's Report, and the presenter is Melissa Zornita.
Thank you very much, and thank you for those actions. This job is, it's my passion. It's so I really appreciate that acknowledgement of it. We just came back from the APA National Conference, and I was really pleased to see that a lot of the things that we're doing are being showcased as best practices. Made me think we need to be presenting more about what we're doing. But you know, when I meet other planners and they say, "Gosh, you've worked in the same place for so long," it's because I really do love this place, this agency, this community. So anyway, thank you very much. In front of you, you should have a copy of my executive director's report. I would welcome feedback from you all also on if this monthly report, there are things that I could add to it to help give you more information about what I do on a more periodic basis. I try to highlight what are the most interesting and meetings on my calendar, but there are a lot more than this. So anyway, if there's additional information, please let me know. Just a couple of highlights of the highlights. On March 24th, I had the opportunity with Adam Gormley from the Development Services Department to give a presentation to the Hillsborough County Citizens Advisory Committee. They have a number of new members because of the change in elected officials and appointments, and they wanted to understand the land use and planning process. I thought they asked some really good questions and had some good ideas for how we could further reach the public and get their input on land use issues early. To that end, one of the things I shared with them that you all have a copy of at your seat is a copy of the flyer about our unincorporated county growth survey. And if you live or work in unincorporated county or play, you're encouraged to take the survey, but also more importantly, please share it with your friends and neighbors. So far, we have more than 950 people who've taken the survey, but we'd love that number to be double, triple that. This is a huge county, and we're only, touching the very surface of the people who are should be weighing in on this and the future of this will feed right into the future land use section of the county's comprehensive plan and where we will be focusing growth going forward. Also on March 24th, I did not have the opportunity to attend, but I watched virtually the Tampa Bay Transportation Management Area Leadership Group meeting, which is a long title for some representatives of the Pasco, Pinellas, and Hillsborough MPOs. And as the representative from the Tampa Bay Partnership mentioned, there was continued discussion about the issue of a regional MPO. What they discussed at that meeting was a memorandum of understanding that would need to be signed by all three MPOs to explore the idea and to begin to develop kind of the plans that need to go along with that. So how would it be funded? What would the structure of the board look like? There are a whole lot of decisions to unpack and decide related to having a regional MPO, and this would potentially be the first step. So each of the MPOs will be taking that memorandum of understanding back to their individual boards. I believe here in Hillsborough County, they'll be discussing that at their May TPO board meeting. The timeline that was laid out in the memorandum of understanding was to look at that with an idea that the regional MPO might be formed by 2026. So giving us a bit of time to lay the groundwork for that occurring in a thoughtful manner. So we'll continue to monitor that. That's something that I continue to have a lot of discussions with the TPO current executive director about, as well as with our HR manager, because we are in the process of recruiting a new TPO executive director, as Ms. Alden is retiring in November. So trying to make sure that that position still is an attractive one to folks is important. We've had a very productive work session with the City of Tampa staff on the update of the Tampa mobility section. That's the next section to be updated of the Tampa plan. It should be brought forward later this summer. I organized a team of staff to go over and meet with the City of St. Petersburg staff. Liz Abernathy, their planning director, was kind enough to devote some time to talking with us about some of their recent policy and then zoning work on accessory dwelling units, density increases along certain corridors to accommodate missing middle housing, and then their look at transit-oriented development along the Sunrunner route, which has a lot of comparable elements to the potential bus rapid transit that we would see along Florida and Nebraska up to Fowler here, should that project progress, which hopefully it will. And then, as I mentioned, myself, Commissioner Kress, Commissioner Bowden, we're in Philadelphia for the National APA Conference beginning of last week. And we will be having, as staff, we have a share session on all of our conference attendance, so that if I bring back lots of good ideas, then I share them with the staff, and the other folks who were there do the same thing. Commissioner Kress and Commissioner Bowden have said they'd be interested in joining us. If any of you all would be interested in joining in that share session, would welcome that. We'll just advertise it to make sure we don't have a sunshine law violation. I did want to remind you all about the retreat, which is on Thursday afternoon from 1 to 4 at the Emergency Operations Center. You should have a scheduler on your calendar with all the information for that. We got word from, I can't remember if I announced it the last month or not, but I wanted to make sure you all knew that the TPO Citizens Advisory Representative for the Planning Commission, Drew Newman, has resigned, and we're in the process of recruiting a new replacement there. And then just wanted to give some updates on a couple of plan amendments for the City of Tampa. The One Water update of their comprehensive plan was adopted effective the 27th of this month. There was a plan amendment on North Boulevard, sort of across from Armature Works, that staff and the Planning Commission and City Council all supported. That was adopted on second reading. The most recent amendment to RMU 100 in the Channelside area was, you all found it consistent over staff's objection, and City Council also adopted that. And then there was a amendment at Armenia Avenue, much further north. The Planning Commission staff and the Planning Commission both found it consistent, but City Council found it inconsistent and denied it. With that concludes my report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yes, Commissioner Kress.
Any more insight as to why council denied the Armenia application?
Darn it, I wish Danny was still here. But I think there was some neighborhood opposition on that one, and that was what tilted the scales.
All right, yes, Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yeah, going back to the regional TPO.
Yes.
I guess what's kind of the status in the Florida legislature on making this happen and making local communities regionalize the TPOs?
Yeah, so far there's not been any, while we saw a draft of a bill floated around before the session started, that has not been introduced. Our legislative liaison in Tallahassee, end of last week, said that what she is hearing is that OPAGA, and I'm going to mess up what all that acronym stands for, but I know the last part is government accountability. It's Office of Policy.
It's like the GAO for the state government.
Yeah, basically. She had heard that they would be requested to do a study, but it was unclear whether that was a study related just to the Tampa Bay area or statewide MPO consolidation. But that has not made it into any bill. Now, just because a bill hasn't been introduced doesn't mean it can't get added to something, and there is typically, based on her information, there is usually one major transportation bill that is progressing through the legislature, and she said that's the one that she would expect something like that to get added to. So we're waiting and seeing. The session ends on May 5th, so by next meeting, I'll have a definite answer for you. Sure.
Commissioner Fernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this just T-BARTA 2.0? Because they just crumbled.
Right, right. Well, T-BARTA did have a larger geography than just the 3 counties.
Okay.
I don't know that it was big as maybe it was the same 8 counties that the Tampa Bay Partnership represents.
Okay.
I'm not positive about that. Yes, I mean, some of the questions that I think need to be answered and what the MOU approach would allow to explore is how would this new MPO be hosted? And one of the issues that T-BARTA had was, they would get grant dollars, but you have to expend operating funds before you can get reimbursed for the grant dollars. So they were always outlaying money that they didn't really have.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there are a number of good questions like
Okay,
that.
yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
And back on T-BARTA, they never got the recurring
Right.
money for their budget. So they were, every year, they were going hat in hand to Tallahassee, trying to get their 1.5 million in operating. And sometimes they would get it, sometimes not, and they would literally have to live off of grants of literally projects to do for the operation of the agency.
Yeah. Most MPOs statewide are hosted, just like ours is. The Planning Commission is the host. We front the personnel dollars, the operating dollars, and get reimbursed for that. And that is the situation in most of the MPOs, whether it be hosted like Pasco is by Pasco County or by an entity like the Planning Commission. So that is something that would need to be figured out as how it would be funded.
Were there any more questions, comments from the commissioners? Not seeing any, then we'll thank you for the information. And we will move on to our next item of business. 7, other business. 7A, chair's business. I have none. Any old business from the commissioners? Not seeing any at this point. Any new business? All right. Committee reports. Any committee reports? Nope, not seeing any. Oh, Commissioner Kress?
We did have a River Board committee meeting a couple of weeks ago and talked several topics, but the one that stands out the most was just that we've had a lot going on with cleanliness of the river. There's been several different septic systems and stuff like that throughout the river that have leaked, and it sounds like there's no real good sense of ability to control because it's a combination between the county, city, and the EPC. And, doesn't sound like there's any laws that really have teeth that are making these people really change the situation so that it stops happening. So definitely something that is a topic of conversation. So
Interesting. All right. Commissioner Kress?
Just FYI, I believe I had heard that the county is giving out grants to landowners who have septic to convert, but I don't think the city's doing that. I know this because I have septic and it's terrible, and I live on the river. But I turn my microphone on to talk about FLIP, future, as part of the Communications Committee. Future Leaders in Planning, it's a great program. If you know any high school students who you think might at all be interested in this field, it's a great one-week introduction. It's totally free, and through my day job, I work with them on an opportunity for planning in downtown Tampa. So we'll do that again this year. So anyway, please help spread the word on this great program.
Cool. Thank you. Are there any more committee reports from the commissioners? Not seeing any, then we have come to the end of our meeting. So we will close this one out, and we will see everybody at 5:30 is the other meeting? At 5:30. So meeting adjourned.